Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is 𝓱𝓻 and today we are going to talk about Arcane, which is my newest obsession. I thought about making this video for a while and I couldn't really decide if I want to make a reaction video or like a little talking video, and in the end I decided to do the talking video because I already saw Arcane and I didn't really want to, or I didn't really know if, reaction videos are still interesting or not if they are not the first initial reaction to the thing. So I decided I'm going to talk or ramble a little bit about this series because I have to be honest, it absolutely blew my mind. First of all, I want to say that this obviously will be a super subjective video, so I'm going to just tell my own opinions about the thing. I really love this series. I would love to discuss it in the comments if you feel like you disagree with me in something. I would really love to talk about this because I'm not kidding, I can't really think about anything else recently. So there we go. I used to play League of Legends way back when. And I originally started when Jinx came out as a champion, and I remember being super hype about her because her champion release was the first that I saw, and she had a music video, Get Jinx, and I was super blown away, like, oh my god, this game is like super cool, and I really loved her character. She was one of the first champions that I bought. I saved up all my 6,400 IPs because back then we didn't have Blue Essence, and yeah, I played a lot. When I found out that it's gonna be her story, I was intrigued. I went into watching Arcane without any previous knowledge about the thing, so I didn't really take part in the promotion area or the announcement or the build-up hype. I was just, oh yeah, I kind of want to watch it, and then we sat down and watched it, and my mind was super blown. And interestingly, for me, Jinx's story was kind of like the least interesting in the whole series, and I know most people will disagree with me on this, but like every other character I liked better. So I thought we can go through a few things that I liked about the series and talk a little bit about them. And I want to start off with the art style and the whole design and animation of the whole thing, because the production, the animation, the art style, the design was just so good. It was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, going into it, I think I needed like an episode to kind of get used to the art style and the animation style, but it was so really super well done. Like the directions, the production, everything was amazing, and like the storytelling with the camera angles and the shots was just so good. And through this video I will try to hold back, but while watching Arcane I grew a little bit too attached to a certain scientist, so I'm trying to not use him in every example. But for example, when also this will be a very spoilery video, so please, if you haven't watched Arcane or if you are bothered by spoilers, please leave this video now. This is your last warning. Everything from here will be spoilery. Okay, good. In the second act, when Jace is going up on the stage for Progress Day, and we see Victor staying behind and saying that he doesn't want to partake in the speech because he doesn't want to go up in front of all these people. And we see Jace drinking a last sip out of his mug and putting it down the table, and the mug completely covers Victor in that frame. And I think that's just, all these subtle things are just so heavy and meaningful and impactful through the storytelling that, I absolutely love it. Also, with this, the parallels in the whole thing are insane. I could say that almost everything that we see happening in Arcane comes back later on with a parallel scene. And here we go again. But for example, when we see Victor as a kid playing with his little boat, and he fails to catch up to it and fell eventually, and the boat just goes away, we see that both motif came back later on when Victor is running in the harbor and he passes the boats. Ugh, when I saw it, man, I was like mind blown. Or for example, when we see, it's like the first scene in Arcane when Vi and Jinx are on the bridge, and when they first meet Vander, we see all the bodies scattered around the bridge, the dead people, and that comes back later on when Jinx blows the people up on the bridge. And it's almost the same shot, and beautiful callback to that scene, and like how we came kind of full circle since she was a little girl who was crying on the bridge, and now she's the one who caused all the trouble and the mayhem. It just adds a whole new layer to the thing, and I absolutely love this type of storytelling. I was super blown away by it, so I think it really does wonders to the story. When in the first act, Vi picks up Vander's gauntlets, and when she gets eventually the Atlas gauntlets, that's a kind of parallel as well, and the whole show is just full with these things, with these kind of parallels, and I absolutely love them. Also, the music is amazing. I think there are a lot of music video-ish kind of scenes in Arcane, and I don't mind them. I actually really adore them, and I saw a huge outburst online because in one of the episodes, Imagine Dragons as the band shows up in Arcane and they are animated into the show, and I saw people absolutely hate that scene and despise it. But I think it was kind of fun. Like, I don't know, it didn't really take me out from the scene. I think it was just a nice little Easter egg. It didn't really do any harm for me. And I also appreciate that oftentimes the show does this thing when you hear the music, then the characters can actually hear the music in the scene. So we have an example for this in the Imagine Dragons scene, because then the band actually plays that song and it can be heard in universe. But also when Sevika and Vi fight in the bar, they put up music in the jukebox before that. And I absolutely love when shows do this, or movies. I think it's just like a really immersive thing that, you know, pull you into the world and the scene. And I think they really did a good job with that. Also, the writing, I think, is really good. I think the dialogues and the stories and everything just feels natural. Like, this is a prequel, so if you played League of Legends or if you know anything about the lore, you can kind of know how this will end for most of the characters, even though there are retcons in the lore with Arcane, but you know, the general direction is pretty clear for all of us. I was pretty interested in League lore when I used to play, but I never really got super into every character's story. So from Piltover, I knew Caitlyn and Vi's story, and I knew that Singed made Warwick. I think that, and obviously Jinx's story, which originally was not confirmed that she was Vi's sister. For years, it went on as a fan theory, kind of, that they are siblings. And then I think after a while, it was said that they were not or something, and it kind of died down. And then now this being confirmed, I think, is a huge thing. But yeah, so I knew about these characters, but for example, I didn't have any idea about Jace or Victor, for that matter. It was just so nice that I got super interested in characters that I actually paid no attention to while playing the game. I think the characters were really well forged, and the new characters as well, who are not in League, I really enjoyed them. I think Silco is an amazing antagonist, or like villain, because every one of his motives can be understood. And I really was sad when he died at the end of the show. I know he was a bad person. Obviously, we know he was a crime lord. He murdered people. He pumped drug onto the streets of the Undercity. But deep down, he deeply cared for Jinx, even though their relationship was kind of dysfunctional, but he deeply cared. And I do feel like that everything he did with the big picture in his mind, that he wants to have Zone as an independent city from Piltover, and he did everything he could to kind of get the leverage that he needed. And we see in the end that it actually would have worked out for him if, you know, if it wasn't for his daughter. I really liked his character. I think his motives were understandable, and I was sad when he died at the end. And that scene when he died was actually kind of a callback or a parallel as well, because at the end of Act 1, we all know that Powder accidentally killed Vander, Milo, and 𝓱𝓮𝓻 was his name, I think. And when Vi found out about this, she got understandably mad at her. And I think we can't really be mad at Vi at that moment, I think, because up to that point, she was always very, very supportive of Powder. Like, every scene that we saw them together, Vi was an amazing big sister. She was always nice to Powder, she always tried to cheer her up, and the only scene that we think she's a bad sister is when she's talking to Milo, and Powder is eavesdropping, and obviously we had this trope of she meant one thing, but she thought she meant another, and then she was angry because of that. Or when Milo said that Powder was half the person or whatever, and Vi said yes. And yes, there are a lot of things she can do, but it was not that she meant harm her way, but she took it as well. So basically, Vi was an amazing big sister, in my opinion. And at that moment, when she lost everything because of her little sister, who she did nothing but support. And there was one thing that she asked from her, and that was to stay away. And she didn't do that. I understand that she was upset. But the end, when Jinx killed 𝓲𝓵𝓷𝓭 was not mad at Jinx. That's just so mind-blowing. And like, it's kind of hard, but I have to admit that in this scene, he was the better or powder, because he didn't say anything mean to her anyway, and like, she killed him. So he would be understandably mad at her as well, but he wasn't. That's what eventually made her realize that she doesn't have to fight herself. Ah, man. It was so amazing. How did we get here? Characters, yeah. I also appreciated Mel's character because every act, my opinion of her changed. In the first act, I loved her. She was super cool, such an amazing character. And then in the second act, I hated her guts because she was manipulative and like, I just couldn't stand her at all. And in the third act, she kind of came around, but I still don't really trust her, to be honest. Yeah, the characters were amazing. Obviously, my favorite from the show is Victor. And I really can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, as I said, I know this is an unpopular one, but I don't really feel for Jinx or care about her so much. As I mentioned, in my opinion, like I get her trauma because it's like horrible losing your parents, living in a city or a state like she did. But she always had Vi, and she was always very, very supportive of her. So when Jinx originally came to League, she was like this manic pixie girl with, you know, bombs. I was wondering how they will, you know, make this work. Originally, I enjoyed her character this way, like this manic blow things up, but it became kind of flat after a while, and I just started not to care about it anymore. And I was wondering how they will, you know, make this work again. And what I got is a traumatized serial killer. And I'm sorry, while I feel for her trauma, I kind of find it hard to relate to her because she's just that. She's a murderer. You know, I said that I know 𝓲𝓵𝓷𝓭 has murdered people, but I see the ends that he wants to achieve. With Jinx, she just kills people, kills animals, and I'm not gonna lie, that was when I was like, because I feel like recently or nowadays, action movies make us kind of oblivious to the fact that, you know, murdering people is bad. That's why I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, she killed 6 people and yada yada yada, but like whatever. But no, she killed the enforcers, showed no regret. She killed another batch of enforcers on the bridge, showed no regret. She killed the bird and then used its feathers as bookmarks. You could say that, yeah, but you know, she only kills the enforcers and they are bad because, you know, 𝓲𝓷𝓷𝓭, whatever. And no, because when we first see her as an adult Jing, the first thing she does is that she shuts the girl from Echo's team and she dies. And she's from Zone. No remorse at all. So I kind of find it hard to relate to her. And I know you guys will burn me on a stake for this. I don't really... Like, her arc was interesting. I found it interesting the way she became who we know in League, and even more, I guess, but I don't feel for her. And then everyone keeps saying that Victor will be the evil one. No, man. Like, he doesn't even kill anyone. Actually, I can't believe I almost forgot about Skye. I'm sorry, my girl. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that as well. So, Victor accidentally killed Skye. We all know that. And this is how you react when you murder people. Because that's how normal people react when someone, you know, dies because of them, and not like, you know, Jinx. But also I saw people say online that they should have made Victor more involved with Skye, because then her death would be more meaningful. And I think this relates back to my earlier point perfectly, because someone's death shouldn't only be said when our character is related to them in any way. Like, he accidentally murdered someone by trying to questionable science stuff. That should be absolutely enough to make this scene hit hard, because killing someone shouldn't only count when it is someone that you care about or love or whatever. It's just bad. Also, the relationship dynamics are interesting and entertaining in this show, and I am glad that we are approaching Cait and Vi territories, because that's been a fan thing for a long, long while as well. And it was never really confirmed, and I'm a little mad because it's not really confirmed either. At first watch, I felt like Vi's and Cait's relationship developed a little too hasty. Like, if you think about it, they know each other for like 1 day or half a day, and they are on to each other all the time. And actually, I think that's something that can happen in real life, you know? But then I felt kind of frustrated with the whole thing, because Riot went really into the implying Vi and Cait being involved with each other, but then kind of, so they're like throwing in the bait and, you know, not giving you anything, because we don't get actual confirmation that there's something going on between them. Like, they don't even kiss, nothing happens. And while I do understand, as I said, they only know each other for a short amount of time, I do feel like that this kind of aggressive push and pull that they are doing with the viewer is not really a nice thing. And I just wish if they went in completely, or, you know, just don't bait the shippers. I think that was not a nice thing to do, but I kind of understand. And I obviously enjoy the content. I just feel like it was kind of a covered thing to not include. I mean, they have an angsty breakup before they even get together. What are we doing here? I really hope that in season 2 we get proof and confirmation that they deserve no beating around the bush, nothing. I want them to commit if they want to do this. That's all I ask for. I love Vi, by the way. I never really cared for her character in League, and now that I look at her splash art and the version that she is in Arcane, the League version is just so bad compared. But she is an amazing character in Arcane. I can't really say whose side I'm on, because that's the thing with the story, that it's so complex that you can understand every character's motives, and it's really hard to take sides, in my opinion. That's just amazing. However, I do not like Jace. Like, my boy, you are making awful decisions, awful, all the time. How is that possible? How is it possible that every one of his decisions is just so bad? I don't understand. He chooses to listen to the wrong people. But I do like him. I do not like Jace. Kind of. I feel bad for him, because he's so easy to manipulate, and like, he's so bad at decision making. Like, maybe he is the only one that I kind of don't understand what his motives are. I mean, there are a few things that I understand. So for example, in Act 1, or Act 2, I was pretty pissed at Jace at first when he got 𝓲𝓵𝓷𝓭 booted out from the council. But then I understood that he did this because 𝓲𝓵𝓷𝓭 wanted to delay their project and wanted to shut down the hex core experiments, which could help Victor. So he did this for Victor. Good for us. But the whole corruption and deal making and council thing, I just don't understand why he does that. Like, obviously Mel's manipulative work as a part of it, but other than that, I really don't understand what Jace gets from that. I don't. And I feel like he doesn't either. I feel like he's very confused and like easy to manipulate, as I said before. Also, I think there are a lot of interesting theories, and one of the great parts of this series as a League player is that there are so many hints and Easter eggs and theories that you can just delve into and think about it. And, you know, like, now it's pretty much confirmed, but when we initially watched, I was like, is Wander going to be Warwick or Mundo or something? So what's gonna happen here? Because at the end of Act 1, he injected himself with Shimmer and became this huge Mundo-like thing. But, you know, I was like, no, because Dr. Mundo's lore is that he made himself Dr. Mundo and stuff like that. And, you know, just as you go through the series, you just wonder who these people are. But yeah, so this theorizing and like how, just thinking about how everyone connects to the lore and League of Legends that we know was super fun. Like when Jace got saved from freezing to death by that mage, I was like, no, that can't be Rise, but you know, the teleport and the runes and everything. And so even if it is not him, which I don't think is, it's just nice to see how, for example, the mage is actually connected to Rise because they use the same kind of magic. And while I do not think that Mel is in any way related to Leona, I do think that she is related to the Solari maybe in some way because of her dress and the shield thing that she apparently wears. So I think these theories are super fun. I always like theories when shows that leave space for theorizing. So if you have any, let me know because I love reading these. And I guess in the future, if you want to see more Arcane related content, because I can talk about this show forever, we can check out theories or, you know, I can talk about whatever you guys want to hear about this. But for starters, I think this is what I had to say. I hope in the end this will turn out to be a fun video because right now it just feels like I've been rambling on for half an hour. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the series as well. I am super excited for season 2. If you enjoyed this video, like, leave a comment, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!